What's up, Taiwan? I'm Yvonne with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's environment minister says the government is open to discussing nuclear power as an option for the future. He made a comment just weeks before the country's last nuclear plant is due to be decommissioned. Tiffany Wang reports.
The long-standing debate in Taiwan over nuclear power is back again. For the island nation, it's not just a question of safety, but of national security.
从这个国家安全或是能源安全的角度来看的话，的确是有人提出这一个想法。那其实我们以行政团队的立场来看的话，我们其实是开放讨论来讨论这件事情。保留核能是官方立场吗？并没有。
Almost all of Taiwan's energy is imported, primarily as coal and natural gas. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party has made it a goal to phase out nuclear power by 2025, citing concerns over safety on the earthquake-prone island. The potential resurrection of nuclear as a power source comes just a month before the country's final nuclear reactor, Ma'anshan Unit 2, is set to be decommissioned, leaving a 3% gap in the nation's energy generation. But restarting the old nuclear power plants wouldn't be easy.
老旧核电厂延役，你必须要花出也是很高昂的成本去维修它，然后你还要评估它在新的安全标准上能不能合格，你要把它加强到符合到我们现在所谓的最新的安全标准，都是一大笔钱。
The environment minister estimates that restarting nuclear would cost several billion US dollars, but the issue of energy security could keep nuclear on the table.
煤炭只有36天呐，天然气只有7到11天呐，这时间都很短。如果考虑核能的话，核燃料它的安全质量通常是1年半到3年。
While officials are publicly coy on any changes to their plans for nuclear power, until the country can be sure it has the power it needs in an emergency, calls to reconsider nuclear won't go away. Luffy Lee and Tiffany Wang for TaiwanPlus.
A new law in Cambodia threatens serious penalties for anyone who denies the genocide that took place under Khmer Rouge rule. It comes as the country marks 50 years since the rebel group seized the country's capital. Rosie Greninger reports.
At Cambodia's Tuo Sleng Genocide Museum, 94-year-old survivor of the Khmer Rouge regime, Chum May, sells a memoir describing his experience in the prison that once stood here. This site was one of the most notorious interrogation centres of the radical communist movement that ruled Cambodia for 4 years. As the country marks 50 years since the fall of capital Phnom Penh to the Khmer Rouge, Chum is welcoming a new law enacted last week that forbids denying the atrocities the group committed.
Who dares to say there was no genocide? Who said that? This is evidence. My finger broke. They hit me, and I used my hand to cover me. One of my ears and one of my eyes cannot be used. And they pulled the nail out of my right toe with a plier. Why was it not a genocide? As for my family, my 4 children and my wife were all killed.
The Khmer Rouge took power in 1975 against the backdrop of civil war in Cambodia. Led by Pol Pot, the hardline Maoist group looked to create a pure agrarian society free of class, politics and capital. During their rule, about a quarter of the population, or at least 1.5 million people, died due to starvation, disease, overwork or execution.
When you starved and stole vegetables, and if the Khmer Rouge soldiers caught you, you would be killed, regardless of whether you were an adult or a child.
The brutal regime ended in 1979 after an invasion led by communist neighbour Vietnam. But the tumultuous period is still used to justify the long-running rule of the Cambodian People's Party, which has been in power for over 4 decades. And the country's new law could see anyone who denies the genocide face 5 years in prison or be hit with hefty fines. Some activists say it's an attempt to quash opposition in the country and could be used to suppress free speech and dissent.
I think that's a mistake. A population that's fearful to discuss will even be more fearful to question. Because you want them to question, you want them to be skeptical. It's giving opportunities to scholars, to historians, to politicians, to leaders to address skepticism and questionings.
Despite opposition to the legislation, Cambodians say there is no debate the Khmer Rouge was responsible for one of the worst massacres of the 20th century. Yet the ruling party has accused opposition politicians of trying to revise history, allegations they reject.
Cambodian will still continue to say that genocide took place in Cambodia, and nobody can deny this.
But critics are continuing to push against the new law, saying it doesn't actually seek accountability for the wrongs committed by the Khmer Rouge, and asking whether it serves any purpose in a country still healing from the wounds of the past. James Lin and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
A groundbreaking discovery has been made on a planet 124 light years away. The presence of two gases there is seen as the strongest evidence yet of life outside Earth.
We have found evidence for possible biological activity on an exoplanet. We have found signs of biosignature molecules, either DMS or DMDS or both of which are produced uniquely by life here on Earth.
The planet, named K2-18b, is 2.5 times the size of Earth, and its surface is completely covered by ocean. Large amounts of the gases were detected by a team at the University of Cambridge using NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. The team is calling it a monumental discovery, but says there's still a lot more to find out. An international team led by Taiwan's top research institute, Academia Sinica, has discovered that pain and soreness are actually two different sensations.
But we don't really discriminate between the two. We just have the one word, which is pain, to find that there is a physiological and neurological basis for that discrimination. And that's what's been so fascinating in working with.
The researchers led by Chen Zhicheng found that soreness comes from overactivation of nerves responsible for body position and movement awareness rather than from pain sensory nerves. They've coined the term senseption for the sensation of soreness, inspired by the Taiwanese Daigi word for it. The findings pave the way for future research to develop treatments that can target pain or soreness individually. Taiwan's got some new seasonal visitors, tiny feathered travelers who've taken a long flight to get here. And Hualien's remote beaches have become the perfect summer getaway for them. Chelsea Wu has the story.
On the northern tip of Taiwan's scenic east coast, some very special summer visitors have landed. These birdies are little terns, tiny migratory birds flying in all the way from Australia and New Zealand. And they've picked an unexpected spot to raise their chicks, this beach.
它那个地方是在一个堤防外面，就是很高的地方，所以一般的人比较进不去，那沙滩车也进不去，所以它的人为干扰会相对的来说，像比利乌溪口来的会更少一点点。
Little terns typically migrate to Taiwan between April and August, but their usual nesting spots along the Hualien riverbanks are becoming less suitable, as fishing, beach cleanup efforts, and stray dogs and cats all disturb their habitats there. Now, the Heping River is a new refuge. And looking to protect their new feathered neighbors, local businesses are forming patrol teams to support tern conservation. The Taiwan Cement Corporation is working with the Wild Bird Society for the first time ever. And their efforts are already showing results. The number of little terns at Heping River is steadily increasing, with around 120 nests recorded.
那因为和平电厂跟和平港的阻隔，非常意外的造就了一个小燕鸥很安全的一个孵育的处所。而志工巡守队的成员，我们更结合了我们场内的这些包商朋友们，一同来参与。
The team hopes to boost the bird's breeding success rate by 10% within 3 years, and aims to promote education on tern conservation in local elementary schools, inspiring the community to continue protecting these tiny travelers. Fu Huaheng and Chelsea Wu for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we head to Italy for an exhibition that explores the life of women in Pompeii. It features 2 newly discovered sculptures. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.